And let me say this. I was scanning to see whether to say this or not, but I will. And please never forget this. It is not enough to come to church, as important as that is. It is not enough to join the worship. Ensure that there is a glow, a divine glow inside you. That divine glow is hard to describe, but when it's there, you know. When it's there, you know. And you have to understand that just the same way we have a nervous system that tells us something is wrong, you know, in split seconds, if someone steps on you, your brain, you know, your body sends signals to your brain, and your brain alerts you to remove your leg. Split seconds. We have a spiritual nervous system. When there is trouble, you know. It's a different thing when you're doing everything, you're praying, you know, you're fasting, you know, and there is still a drag in your walk with God. Then that's a totally different thing. But you know your walk with God is not as it should be. That is God's alarm system warning you. You can't continue like this. You know, I preached on a sermon on vital signs some years ago. And I said, just the same way when you go to the hospital, they check your vitals. Because they know that you can look fine and not be fine. Are you listening to me? You can look fine and not be fine. Have you ever heard of cases where someone walked into the hospital himself, but they checked his vitals and they said, we must admit you immediately? The person looked fine, but was not fine. By the time they checked your blood pressure, checked your temperature, they said, no, we must admit you now. Haven't you read the Bible? The Bible begins by telling us it is possible to die and be walking around. That's the story of Adam. He was a dead man walking after eating the fruit. When God called Adam, the dead man responded, here I am. The dead man still had children. He went on to have children. To live 983 years. So the Bible opens up with this consciousness. Listen, you may be in your Sunday best, you know things are not fine. And God is using this service to tell you, you need to wake up. And if you know anything about Celebration Church, sometimes the sermons are just right on time. You need to respond immediately. Maybe there is something coming. There's something coming. There's something coming. You've been managing. It's time to say, you know what? Something must change. Something must change. Shut everything down. Go for a retreat. And excuse this dramatic expression. Pray until that glow is restored. Pray. This is no longer 30 minutes. You know what I'm saying. Sometimes, you see, keeping the watch is a disadvantage. You pray until you have that note of victory. Until you have pierced through that clog. You know when you are done. Sometimes you need a season of spiritual emphasis. For the next 2 weeks, no TV. I'm not saying it's bad, but I am emphasizing spiritual things. Less social media. And back-to-back prayer. Please, are you listening to me? You know what's even better? Create the structure. Some of us, we are too reactive. It is when there's trouble that we react. Have you seen people you've been begging to pray? Then there's trouble, they turn prayer warriors. You know, there was something that was happening in my house. And there's this guy that some people call the white sheep of the family. White sheep, you know, by faith. just to describe how much trouble this guy gave us. There was a time years ago, we lost a family member. And one uncle was crying, carried away in tears. He said, God, even if you want to take, why did you take this one? Did you see this one? You know? And all of us had to stop crying briefly and say, really? Seriously? But when there was problem, this guy prayed. I said, you can pray like this? His voice was the loudest. And after a while of intense prayer, he began to vibrate. And broke into prophecy. Here? See, there are some people, if they prophesy, you say, God is here. God, this one cannot be the flesh. God is here. Yeah? Hallelujah. You don't build your muscle in the ring. That's not when you begin to practice jabs and dodging. That's not how it's done. Please be sober now. Are you getting what I'm saying? So, listen, this is a spiritual strategy. God is telling you, anticipate danger. Hi, are you listening to me? Anticipate danger. Are you aware this is what God told Cain that he didn't listen? This is what God told Cain. He said, if you do right, won't I commend you? He said, sin lies at the door. His desire is for you. Sin lies at the door. Anticipate danger.